episode 9 of the Silver Screen Scarehouse with Lisa and Linnie. I'm your host, Linnie, and with me is my darling co-host, Lisa.
Hello!
When you come to the Scarehouse, we'll be reviewing 3 movies. We may not always agree, but as lifelong film fanatics, you'll get honest opinions from 2 different sides of the aisle, followed by an old-fashioned knives up, knives down final rating. This week, Lisa and I will be chatting about The Drownsman, which is currently available on VOD, as well as Killers, which is available on Netflix and other VOD platforms, and Jurassic World, which is currently available in theaters, and a bonus 4th film, Dawn, which will be available on Rose McGowan's YouTube page on the 21st of June. So we're going to open up with The Drownsman. All right. After nearly drowning in a lake, Madison develops hydrophobia that is emotionally crippling. When she begins seeing visions of an evil figure, 4 friends stage an intervention but accidentally open a gate to a dark place. Lisa, what did you think of The Drownsman?
I fell asleep 3 times.
Eh.
And I thought it was so stupid, and I'm sick of women being portrayed as a bunch of bitches who just tolerate one another but call each other best friends. These are the worst best friends ever.
I know, I never understand
I don't want
that.
enemies like that. Why that seance? I'm not even being cohesive. This is a dumb idea. It's a dumb concept. The killer is not scary. It's just kind of funny, actually. I kind of got the giggles a few times, and it felt like a 90s throwback, but not in a good way.
Yeah,
and I hated everyone. I
laughed unintentionally so many times. Like, I don't think I've ever laughed this hard at a movie that wasn't a comedy before.
I can see that.
Like, yeah, there's this particular, because the killer, the supernatural version of this serial killer sucks people through water into his ghostly water realm. And that girl being sucked through the puddle on the desk.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard. Like, all of a sudden, she's, like, flailing around and her legs are kicking in the desk. It's just like, this really, like, who thought this was scary? This is hilarious.
Well, even just how she got the puddle on the desk is that she coughed up some water, cough, and like it's like the tiniest puddle of water. Her hand wouldn't have fit through there.
Oh my god! I kind of want to go and take that scene and soundtrack it with circus music, and I feel like it would be the funniest thing ever. Like there aren't terrible ideas there. Like the actual serial killer at the heart of it could have been really scary if they just let him be a serial killer and not some supernatural serial killer. Because everything has to be supernatural now. But, like, at the end, when she's fighting him with flares, I'm like, there's something not syncing up here. Like, water, fire, I feel like inherently he would be able to beat fire because water puts fire out. Like, what? What's happening?
That didn't make any sense. I thought maybe I had missed something, but I couldn't be bothered to rewind and see what that might have been.
No.
Was there a secret clue somewhere that showed us that road flares were his kryptonite?
Yes. He was really afraid of flares.
Yeah. And you know, why did they make him supernatural? And why did they make him look like it was like the guy from I Know What You Did Last Summer without his hat on or something?
Ben Willis's kid brother.
He could have just been. It would have been creepier, like if they had just left him all handsome, like he was before he was dead.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like there were so many ideas here that weren't awful. And then of course, like I'm bored, so I start picking apart her hydrophobia. Like, oh, if she's afraid of water, why is she so clean?
Her hair was very shiny for somebody who never ever bathed.
Right, like she has to take her fluids through an IV. But why are her teeth so shiny and white? How does she brush her teeth?
That's a good question.
And what happens? She's so scared when it rains. What does she do? There's rain all the time. Clouds are full of water. Is she really thinking that far ahead? Like, why am I thinking more about this than the people who wrote it?
Okay, there you go. I think you just summed it all up. And whoever, I just feel like somebody who either knows only bitchy women or hates women wrote these characters. These girls are mean. mean girls.
Yeah, like, oh, our friend's afraid of water. Let's throw her in a bathtub.
Yeah,
that'll teach her.
Exactly.
That'll learn her.
You need to feel bad for having a phobia, and I'm going to tell you you're an awful friend, and I can't believe that you missed my wedding, and blah, 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 and I'm going to throw you in the water. I mean, who are these people?
That's written by a man that assumed all women secretly hate each other and really just want to either have a giant naked pillow fight or stab each other. That's kind of the consistent trope in most of these movies, is that women just hate each other. And honestly, by the time they started getting picked off, I was like, I don't care anymore. Go ahead. I don't care.
I didn't care about anybody ever. And then I tried to care when she was trying to save them, but it just was stupid. And the flares, I don't...
And then, of course, it has the standard, oh, she's related to the killer. Like, wow, you guys are original. Good job.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. That was so shocking. I forgot completely.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right.
Good job, guys. Good job. Way to really dig down deep for creativity. And the thing that shocks me about this is that so many people seem to love it. Like, that's why I watched it. It was like everybody was going on and on about how great it was. And it took me 2 tries to watch it, too. I got so bored the first night. I was like, ugh, I'll just start over tomorrow night. And that's what I ended up doing. I was having to start it from the beginning again. And somebody explained to me why you like this movie, because I do not get it.
Yeah, I don't understand what the big deal is. And it did feel like, if you had told me that you had found this at a thrift store and it was on VHS, I would have believed you.
And that is not a compliment, VHS people, despite what you may think.
I don't mean that in like the awesome way. Like, I have a Shivers copy on VHS, and it is awesome.
Right.
But this was not.
No.
Maybe I just was in a bad mood, and clearly I still am about it, but, especially after, like, the weekend we just spent in Seattle, a group of women do not get together and antagonize the one that has a problem. They get together and they help her fix it. And I need poor people fucking get on board, because everyone knows that women are the larger audience, so stop tearing us down. We're not stupid and we're not bitches, and I'm tired of it. Exactly.
It's absolutely true. So somebody, we just need to fucking write that movie. I mean, that's what's ridiculous. It's like, okay, if nobody else is going to do it, I'm just going to do it. Screw you guys. I'm tired of waiting for it.
Got it.
So obviously, the Drownsman gets 2 knives down from both of these ladies.
Yeah.
2 big ones. Screw you guys. Your movie sucked.
Hey, you guys are mean. And so now, let's talk about something amazing.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert, if you paid any attention to either one of us on Twitter lately, we're going to talk about Killers right now. That's from 2014, and it's the Japanese and the Indonesian film markets came together and made this psychological thriller about 2 serial killers who post their kills online, and so ultimately they're going to have to meet. And it is from the wonderful people who brought us The Raid, and it might be the most gorgeous thing I've seen all year.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I started out, because I don't just watch movies most of the time unless I'm in a theater. I'm usually doing 10 other things. And subtitled movies usually stop me from doing that. But in this case, I was still like, oh, I can kind of read out of the corner of my eye. I don't speak Japanese, but I can still kind of watch. But it took about 10 minutes for me to be like, oh, fuck, I gotta watch this movie. Because the shots are just poetry. They're beautiful. There's so many scenes that you have to pause it and just look at them, because they're like art. And it's so bloody and it's so brutal and terrifying, and it's just gorgeous. Like, it's so hard to explain it coherently. It reminded me of a lot of I Saw the Devil, but there's really nobody to root for in it, which was kind of, normally I'm not really big on that, but in this case it worked. I don't know. Lisa, you talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like if I Saw the Devil and the Raid movies had a baby, this is what you would get, because there was the violence, and the blood and everything, but it wasn't super deep. I didn't feel like, and but in a way it was, because it was kind of forcing us to look and deal with how we have this appetite and need to consume violence. And so what does that say about us, and what kind of people does this make? And the idea that one of the killers was like just kind of born into it and he loved it and he was totally fine with it, and then the other guy kind of came to it more begrudgingly, was an interesting idea, and that's what kind of brought like a weird friendship between the two of them.
Right.
And I thought that it was interesting how the more skilled one was, trying to coax the other one into doing what he's going to do anyway. And it seemed like they were going to be friends, but then it was more like a face-off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like I can't even talk about this either. All I know is it was like, you at the beginning, it just starts, you're just like, oh my god, that's huge, we're just gonna like tie up women and they're gonna scream, and it looks gorgeous. I mean, it's beautiful when we're torturing these girls, but you're just like, whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, I have to pay attention, because there's so much going on with like political statements and how we deal with things, and there's all these other side stories that wouldn't seem like they make sense, but it all comes together and weaves into this amazing, beautiful revenge tale. It's just, I loved it so much, and I watched one of those kill scenes. I'm telling you, at this point, I've probably watched it 20 times.
It is. It is so bloody. I mean, it's literally a blood-soaked scene, but the way that it's framed is just mind-boggling. Just so pretty. And I was totally entranced with Kazuki Kitamura, who plays the Nomura, the one that's kind of born into it and inherently dark. I mean, he's gorgeous.
No, I want to marry him. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's so enigmatic. He reminded me so much of somebody else the whole film, and I still can't put my finger on it. But it's like it sounds strange to compare him, but there's almost this Redford-esque quality where he just commands the screen, and there's this underlying, even when there's a whole collection of scenes where he's just talking to somebody, and it's a very kind of ambiguous, just normal conversation, but it's so fraught with tension just the way he is. I mean, it's really spectacular. And the only other thing I've ever seen him in is the Kill Bill movies. So he's not somebody, I think he was in the Raid movies too, but I don't recall him off the top of my head. But it's just like, he's just so good. And I could totally see him, and unfortunately the movie doesn't really lend itself to sequels, but I could really see him taking that character further, because he really does have that kind of, Hannibal Lecter, Patrick Bateman, really sensual serial killer quality. And I love that. That's such a unusual character to be able to pull off.
That's exactly who he reminded me of. There's that one scene where, he does his thing, and then he's eating in his immaculate room with the white lilies with the blood spatter on them, and he's just like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. I was really conflicted by how much I wanted to, like, be around this man.
Yeah, exactly.
Despicable.
Yeah. Oh, no, and it's really an interesting dichotomy that, I mean, he's obviously completely fucked up and terrifying, but there's still something so intriguing about him. And it's entirely, I mean, just the way he carries himself, the way he dresses, you can see being sucked in by him. And, I mean, the ending is incredibly dark, but...
The ending, I was almost disappointed in the ending, but it really couldn't have gone any other way.
Right, exactly. And I like that they go for that. Asia is especially good at not prettying up an ending just because the audience would prefer it. But again, I kind of would have liked to have seen this character expanded on a little more, but, unless they want to do a prequel or something, I don't know if that's possible.
Maybe they can do a prequel. Both of these guys were in the Raid too, and
Yeah.
the other gentleman, I feel like he's the one where you're really confused about whether or not you should be rooting for him, because when he does kill people, it's, it's the whole I'm doing it for justice thing. But like,
Right.
does that make it okay?
Yeah,
I don't know.
The Dexter conundrum.
Yeah.
And just because you're
And,
killing bad people, you're kind of sinking to their level.
well, I feel like I mean, I don't want to ruin him. I feel like his daughter kind of answers that question for us.
Right.
Like, is it okay? And, you know, we can all have our own opinions on that. But both of these men just own their characters, and you could like feel how the other guy, you know, he was a little bit more timid, and he had to be brought into it by the violence. It was the only way this was going to happen for him.
Right.
It just, I don't know. I fucking loved this movie so much. And when you suggested it, you're like, there's this movie called Killers, and it's over 2 hours, and it's subtitled, and I thought, you bitch. And then I've watched it 3 times.
See, I didn't know anything about it. It just was sitting in my queue, and I was like, meh. Why not? It looks pretty. So.
Everybody needs to watch it. Talk about, you know, Netflix really hides the good shit. I feel like they specifically hide the good movies, and they try to give you the really bad ones. I don't know why they do that, but you must watch Killers right now.
Absolutely.
Stop listening to us and watch that movie right now.
Yes, two big knives up, multiple knives up, all the knives. All right, our last feature film, which should provide for some lively conversation, is Jurassic World. Located off the coast of Costa Rica, the Jurassic World Luxury Resort provides a habitat for an array of genetically engineered dinosaurs, including the vicious and intelligent Indominus Rex. When the massive creature escapes, it sets off a chain reaction that causes the other dinos to run amok. Now it's up to a former military man and animal expert to use his special skills to save 2 young brothers and the rest of the tourists from an all-out prehistoric assault. My rage is going to be palpable, so I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, yeah, I'm not as mad as you. However, as I sat in the theater, like, I could hear you. Somehow, some way, I heard you yelling, and we were pretty much in agreement. Okay, so first what I want to say is this is exactly what it's supposed to be. It's this huge popcorn movie. It is June, and you want to get out of the heat, so you go to a movie that's over 2 hours, so you can sit in air conditioning and, you know, maybe eat a snack. And this just comes at you to assault you with cool visuals the entire time. And if you don't like Chris Pratt, I mean, seriously, you might be a serial killer. So, I mean, the guy's just adorable. And, you know, it's a serviceable summer movie. However, the original, because this is just the third in the series, right? Yeah, because they just kind of rebuilt what the older gentleman had started. And it's the best scenes in this movie are throwbacks or homages or whatever they want to call it to the coolest scenes in the first movie. Mm-hmm. And in fact, everything I thought was cool was something that had to do with the first movie. Right. And the first movie looked better, and it was scarier, and I cared more about everyone in it. Right. This movie, the only reason I think I was okay with it is because I do kind of want to be friends with Chris Pratt. I like the idea that they had the one person in there that would respect animals and, you know, not treat them like things and acknowledge that they had, like, minds and hearts and everything. And besides that, it just was really long, and I didn't care that people died, and the violence at some point was almost a bit much for, like, a family summer blockbuster. And I must speak to Bryce Dallas Howard right now. I did look. There was never a moment where I caught, like, a shot of her wearing actual shoes and not high heels. And P.S., no one's hair ever goes into humidity and makes it perfectly wavy. Okay?
Oh, I know.
I appreciate that they didn't have her have straight hair the whole time, but your hair's never going to look like that. That was really annoying to me. But
yeah, it should have frizzed. Yeah.
Amazing haircut. So, clearly she's in better shape than Chris Pratt because she can run and keep up with him while running in stilettos and a skirt. But they were just awful to the creatures. I felt like this entire thing was, like, actually a secret way of reminding people that we shouldn't be treating animals so terribly.
I would like to believe that there was some underlying message, but I don't.
Okay. So what were you most upset with?
Besides everything,
Yes, let's pick one thing.
one thing that I was most upset with, the violence. It to me it felt like it didn't just celebrate death, it delighted in it. The first one, and even all the ones since, were not remotely as violent, as cruel, as vicious as this movie was. Um, Across the first three films, only one dinosaur died as the result of a human. In this one, I couldn't even begin to count. I lost track after a while. They were just blowing pterodons out of the sky with machine guns. I mean, it was just people are finally talking about the scene with the assistant.
Oh my god.
It got to a point where I started to feel physically sick because that scene went on so long. Like, what was the justification for having her go through that length of torture, of being picked up and dropped, and picked up and dropped, and picked up and dropped, and then dropped in the water and picked up, and dropped in the water and picked up 4 times before she was finally eaten? Like, there was no justification for that. We know these dinosaurs, and by the way, pterodons ate fish. They didn't eat people. They would not have eaten people or attacked people. So that was all just insane to add to the violence. I don't object to violent movies. I love violent movies. I love action movies. But to me, this movie was just reveling in death. There was no heart. There was no soul. And I can still watch the original Jurassic Park and be moved by it. I still get that feeling when Sam Neill walks out of that Jeep and is with the Brontosaurus. I can still have that same feeling from just that moment. And I felt nothing watching this movie except revulsion.
Yeah, I really was hankering for that feeling when that music swells up, and I never got it. I never felt like a little kid, and I never wanted to cry or get really excited. And I guess the way I took the violence, because that was awful. First, the assistant, like, maybe if she'd been some sort of Uber see you next Tuesday, I would understand why it took so long for her to die. But I guess the way I interpret it is, it was like he was killing a fish. He was going to drown her and drown her and drown her. But then, then the bigger fish comes and gets it. And I just thought all of the violence, like with, the one that's on the loose is killing for sport. I felt like all of it was, this is what happens when humans think that they're the boss of anything.
Right.
This is what you get. You get death for the sake of death, and you're all going to get it. And good. And maybe that, I don't know.
But however, in the end, spoiler alert if you haven't already seen it, the person ultimately responsible for all the chaos is not punished. He survives. So what is actually learned from that? That really bothered me more than anything. I mean, the ultimate villain, if you take the Indominus Rex out, who I think it's totally unfair that this creature is cast as the villain, is B.D. Wong's character, the scientist that has genetically modified all these things and is taking payouts to work under the table, and he gets away scot-free, flies off in a helicopter and survives, conceivably to be there for the sequel and make it happen again.
Exactly.
So he survives. He learns nothing. Nobody learns anything because it's going to happen again. And they've already snatched Chris Pratt for the sequel. And I do love Chris Pratt. He was the only anchor I had in this movie because I didn't care about the kids. I never felt any emotional attachment to them. I wanted to like Bryce Dallas Howard in it, but I think she was set up to be unlikable. It's just, and I have to bring this up because it just drove me insane. The amount of product placement in this movie.
I knew you were going to say that, but that's what theme parks look like.
But it wasn't just a theme park. I mean, it was shoes, like actual shots on shoes. Lingering shots on the kid's Chuck Taylors and Nikes, hovering over his Beats by Dre headphones. I mean, it was infuriating. I mean, even Jake Johnson makes a joke about the dinosaur being sponsored by Pepsi and then lifts up a cup of Pepsi with Pepsi's logo on the cup. And I read a review that pointed out, and this is a perfect analogy. The movie is trying to cast itself as meta, but just because you admit you're an asshole doesn't mean you get to be an asshole with impunity. And that's essentially what this movie was trying to do. It was like by beating people to the punch and saying, ha ha, we're in on the joke, we're big budget, look at all these sponsors. That doesn't mean you're getting away with it. It doesn't make it any better. And I just could not get over it. And why is there a fucking Pandora in a dinosaur theme park? Other than the fact that Pandora gave them $10 million to make their movie. Like, yeah, like, okay, I can get Starbucks. I can kind of grasp Margaritaville. But Pandora? Really? Like,
no, I actually thought when she was jumping from the Pandora store, I thought, oh, I wonder if they have, like, specific bracelet charms for this movie.
For the dinosaurs, right. Like, now is Pandora actually selling dinosaur charms? I bet you they are. Because Beats by Dre on their Twitter account posted, yo, this kid survived because of his Beats headphones. Like, fuck you. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is why I went into it wanting to like it, because I am a fan of the franchise. I love the second movie. I don't care what anyone says. I love the second movie. I love Jeff Goldblum in it and Julianne Moore. I don't hate the third one. It's not good, but it's mindless and it's shitty and it's still fun to watch. This movie, I felt like shit when I walked out of it because of all the death and how hollow it felt. Like, I felt, it made me feel shitty about loving the original movies. And I had to regroup and remind myself, well, okay, the originals weren't like this. And the only things that worked in this one were the things they stole from the original. And I mean, there were tons. There were lines. There were visuals. I mean, just little things. Like, even Bryce Dallas Howard, the way she yelled run was just exactly the same way Laura Dern did it in the first one. And it's like, it couldn't even bother to really be original. Like, it just, everything about it made me mad. And that's not even touching on the issues of feminism and the stuff with the assistant and the fact that she's on her phone talking about not wanting her fiance to have a bachelor party because, oh, look how not fun she is. She deserves to die. Like, shit like that was really bothersome. Like, I don't care about Bryce's heels. It's ridiculous, but I don't care.
Oh my God, I totally do. I cared more about her hair.
Yeah.
No, all the women in this movie suck. Nobody likes women. That's basically what this was. Women are no fun. They don't want to do anything fun. They don't want anybody else to have any fun.
Right.
And you must follow the rules, and that is it. But only Chris Pratt, and I think it's only because he's virtue of being that guy, that he's obviously cool in real life, did you have any kind of, like, connection with him?
Right, because he's just playing himself.
Exactly.
I mean, he's being Chris Pratt, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm fine with it. I mean, it's variations on, I can't say it's Andy because he's obviously smarter than Andy Dwyer, but it's like, I don't mind it. And it works in this, but at the same time, I mean, there are these underlying issues of, well, he's the cool one, so he's going to save everybody, and, oh, the Indominus Rex didn't adjust properly because he wasn't there to imprint on her like the Raptors, and so these are the issues that really were bugging me the more I thought about the film. It's all these little things. It's like, okay, maybe you just didn't think about it at all. Or maybe you did, and this is really far more nefarious than anyone's willing to give it credit for. I don't know. Because that would really bother me, because the director did one of my favorite films of all time, which is Safety Not Guaranteed. I love that movie. And I just don't understand what happened, other than this movie was created by a committee. It's like it was put together by corporations, by studios, and there was actually no one human involved in its creation.
Well, yeah, all the product placement just to me was like, well, obviously it costs a lot to have all of these dinosaurs. There's a lot of dinosaurs. There's so many dinosaurs that you don't like. You're not impressed.
Right.
You're just like, whatever, it's dinosaurs. Whereas in the first one, you're like, oh my god, like it's so exciting every time you see one.
Right. And the again, the meta assumption that, the dinosaurs wouldn't have been enough. Like if they had created a different story and included the megalodon, like that would have been awesome. I thought that was beautiful. Like, the visuals for that were gorgeous. And I just and then the whole militarization of the raptors thing, that was just ridiculous. Like
that was so bizarre.
It felt so jammed in. Like, why was this even necessary? I just don't get it. Except, again, okay, here's your sequel. Oh, the one raptor survived. We'll take her off the island. She's going to be a weapon. She's going to be let loose in some small country. Like, I've just written their sequel for them. Like, I just... Ugh.
No, I feel like it was, if you just take the first Jurassic Park and you put in a lot of extra crap and violence and people you don't care about, you have this movie, basically.
Yeah.
Just add in another, like, maybe hour of bullshit, and that's this movie. And I feel like this was kind of like the Poltergeist thing where people, my salon owner, he took his boys because they're 10 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
So they thought it was rad because they're, they didn't grow up with the original and they saw a bunch of big stuff coming at them, so they thought it was cool. So I feel like if you hadn't seen the original, then this is a fun thing that you do in June. But with the original existing, and I agree with you, I enjoy the second one very much, and the third one is fine. I've certainly watched it at least half a dozen times.
Right.
But this movie was just, I just really felt like I was watching some sort of, I don't know, like an undercover PETA statement or something. Like, don't, like, humans, hello, have you not gotten the memo? You can't fuck with Mother Nature.
Unfortunately, it's not. It's a lesson that nobody's going to learn anyway. I feel like the tagline for these movies should be, we'll never learn. Like, that would just be the easiest way to sum it up. It's the way to sum up the whole movie. Go, look, you never learn. Did it again. Never learn. Look at all those dinosaur embryos you're taking out. Still not learning. Like, all right. We're just incapable of learning. So, and I saw that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to agree with you that it was infuriating that he got away at the end, but he had to because we have to have a sequel. So
Jurassic Earth.
It wasn't like in the first one, Newman, didn't get away with it.
Right. Yeah, and
I don't know.
I saw it with a 10-year-old, and she liked it. But she said it didn't scare her as much as the first one, which she'd just seen for the first time. Like, she didn't think it was as scary. Yeah. She didn't think it was scary at all. I mean, she was under my arm for the part with the, where the brontosaurus died slowly, that I was in tears.
I almost cried. Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, I was in tears. And the part with the baby brontosaurus, or the baby triceratops being picked up and dropped.
Oh my god, I almost died. Yeah, see, this is when I knew that I was like, in spirit, we were sitting together.
Yeah. Yeah, she was hiding under my arm for those parts. But yeah, no, she didn't think it was nearly as scary as the original. So even a 10-year-old could see that it had that hollow feel to it. So if it's not obvious, Jurassic World gets a knife down for me along with a big old rage face.
I give it a begrudging knife up because it's a summer movie. So sometimes you just gotta sit in air conditioning for 2 hours.
My room is air conditioning, and I will stay there.
I did find it extremely disappointing. So
okay. Well, finally, we're gonna do a quick little back and forth on Rose McGowan's short film Dawn. There's not a lot about this movie out there, so I'm just gonna read the synopsis I wrote in my review today. It's the 1950s. Dawn is a lonely teenager raised by strict parents, and specifically a mother who seems deeply focused on grooming Dawn to find a man. When a young man at the gas station makes eyes at Dawn, she is smitten, and so it seems is he. Former football star Charlie begins pursuing Dawn, encouraging her to spend time with him and his friends. Is it truly young love, or is a naive Dawn being drawn into something she doesn't understand? So my review went up today, and I loved this movie. I thought it was gorgeous. I thought it was really beautifully, the way it was designed was beautiful. The shots were gorgeous. I thought it was really well acted. I kind of suspected the way it was going to turn out because it's a short. We've all seen a million horror movies. You kind of know where this particular story is probably going. But yeah, no, I loved it, and I think it gives me hope for Rose McGowan as a director. I really think she can do great things behind the camera, so I'm excited. Lisa, your turn.
Thought that it looked really pretty, and I also think that she clearly can be coming out with some amazing things as far as feature films. Yeah, the ending was not surprising. It was infuriating to me, especially because the attitude with which the character came back, to me, I just didn't buy it.
Yeah, I had a feeling you wouldn't like the ending. I kind of warned you about that.
You did, yeah. You're like, you may not like the ending. No, I didn't like the ending.
Yeah.
And not because it wasn't shocking, but because he didn't sell it for me, I guess.
Right.
And I don't know, the two things didn't add up with the way the two friends were going into it, and then the way he came back with his attitude. I don't know. It just didn't work for me, the story-wise. But the way it looked was gorgeous, and I liked the tone. It felt really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And safe and sweet.
Yeah.
Which was kind of how she was.
Right. I thought Tara Lynn Barr that played Dawn was really good too. She actually physically reminded me a lot of Rose McGowan. I kept noticing a lot of similar facial expressions and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, I agree. I actually thought the friends were more frightening than the kid that played Charlie. Which is interesting because I remember him from an SVU episode, and he was really good in that when he was a kid. But yeah, I know that's probably not fair to hold him to that same standard.
No.
You were really good when you played a boy and girl twin when you were a teenager. But overall, I mean, I think as a whole, I just think it's a beautiful movie. And I think tonally, she just nailed the era. And I agree, I kind of wanted more from the ending. I wanted it to surprise me, but I wasn't all that disappointed when it didn't, because I think I had enjoyed how lush it felt up to that point.
One of the writers, he also was a writer on River's Edge, that awesome Keanu Reeves movie from the 80s.
I love that movie.
But maybe I just expected too much more. I know it's a short, but I feel like she gave us so much. We were given so much, and then it was like, it felt as though they ran out of time or something. So they're like, okay, done.
I mean, yeah, the shorts are so hard to get perfectly right. At the ending is so.
I don't want to be too critical because I know she only had, it's like 15 minutes, but how can 13 of it be perfect, and then the last two where you should really be like, bring it home? I'm just like, oh, fuck you.
I get it. I think I don't want to say I'm being forgiving because of how much I love her, because that really wouldn't be fair. I did want to love it, and I was happy that I did love it. I think it was because of the ending that I didn't give it like, oh my god, 5. I think that's why I gave it a 4.5, because I did want more from the ending. But it would definitely be a knife up for me.
Yeah, knife up, because it was really 98% of it was delightful.
Nice. 98% knife up. Well, Dawn will be available on Rose McGowan's YouTube page for everybody to see on June 21st. So make sure you check it out when it posts. All right, kids, thanks for joining us for this extra long episode of the Silver Screen Scarehouse. If you'd like to chat with us about any of the movies we reviewed today, you can find me on Twitter at LinnieLooWho, LINNIELOOWHO, and you can find Lisa on Twitter.
I'm at LCFREMONT.
If you have a movie you'd like us to queue up in the Scarehouse, drop us a comment below or let us know on Twitter. Stay stabby, kids.